We'll be going back to our original format this week with guest storytellers, and then pairing their stories with cards, and then doing a divination at the end of the night. But I had a cancellation, and it's been a tough week. I've been looking for work and trying to get some bills paid, and I've been just distracted by life. So that didn't end up happening. So what I thought I would do tonight, just to get back in the habit of regularly doing a show, would be to introduce a tarot deck I like, and then do a quick divination for what we should keep in mind as we navigate the month of September. And so I have a really fun deck for this evening, where it's actually laser cut on wood. They're blocks of wood with my initials on them, and then traditional tarot imagery laser etched into the wood. And this is a recreation of the Dodal tarot, which is from I believe 1701, from Lyon in France. And I'm just going to do a quick 3-card reading, and then interpret it for everyone. And this is going to be a reading for how to navigate the upcoming month of September. And so keep in mind, whatever comes up, this is going to be what we should do, not necessarily what's going to happen. So for example, if a card like the Tower comes out, that doesn't mean that there's going to be like a catastrophic event or something bad's going to happen. That's going to be more about like giving away, letting things fall. That, like, for yourself, it's going to be about like letting things fall and then rebuilding them, and things like that. And so that would be more of a sign to let go of certain things than it would be indication of maybe a negative event in the external world. So with that being said, I'm doing a little quick shuffle here, and let's get started. And the first card is the Lovers, and there's a note of this in the Rider-Waite deck and their traditions as well, but certainly in the Marseille Tarot, which the Dodal is a Marseille Tarot. The traditions around it definitely, they interpret the Lovers as making a choice. And so I think, and deciding sort of between the heart and the head. And I think that's a good card to be aware of, because we are going to have choices to make. Like it feels oftentimes like we're powerless, and especially with everything that's going on in current events, that we're just being swept along. But there are points where we can exert our will, and where we can choose to do something differently, or choose to feel differently. And certainly, even if all the other choices are taken away from us, we can choose how we react to the things that happen to us in life. So that's a good card for what could potentially be tumultuous times. And then the next card is the Magician, La Batelure. I really shouldn't even try to pronounce the French, but the Magician. And the Magician is a card of power and sort of harnessing the elements and creation, but it's also there can be a little bit of deception or self-deception. So that's like a keynote to be aware of in it, is make sure like what you're building is based on reality, and you're not just presenting a false front. So it's an encouragement to be creative and to create something, and to an extent like encourages you to create your own reality, but it's also a reminder not to base it on illusion, and not to present something that could be false to the world. And the next card is the Fool, and the Fool is it can represent naivete, but it's also there's sort of a keynote of innocence and openness to experience. That their traditions of something I think of with the Fool card a lot is that like there were court gestures, and they were the only people that had in certain times of history the jester was the only person that could speak dangerous truths to the king, and I definitely see that where I think there's a note of maybe not taking things, not being irreverent, but speaking truth to power, and also standing up for what you believe is right, even if you're not sure that it's going to have an effect in the world. To sort of embrace that sort of innocence and the idea that we can make a difference. And just because I'm just doing a brief show tonight, I'm going to do just a quick 5-card spread. So there's only going to be 2 more to draw. And the next is Temperance. And you can see an angel or a winged woman with 2 jars, and she's pouring a liquid back and forth between them. And it's a beautiful card. It's a little bit hard to enjoy its beauty without the colors present in it, as it's portrayed in wood, but it's definitely a card of balance. And the final card is the Popess. It's a female pope, not something that really took place historically, although there is mythologically there is Pope Joan who was a female pope, but in more modern decks, and sort of based on the Rider-Waite tradition, she's sometimes called the High Priestess, but I much prefer the sort of the original French interpretation. And that's a card of sort of wisdom and power. Like she holds a book on her lap. In some depictions, it's the Torah. It's a book of religious law or spiritual wisdom. And I think that there's this, and like it speaks to sort of an inner knowing. Like people are getting riled up emotionally. And on certain, to a certain extent, I think they should be. Results are things happening in the world: police brutality, police killing of people of color, the postal service being messed with for political ends. Like that, things are happening that we need to get angry about and need to speak out about. But I also think there are a lot of forces out in the world that are exploiting people's emotions and fears and anger. And so I think, especially in this context, it's a card telling us to sort of check in with our inner wisdom, with a higher calling. And I think there's definitely a feminine note to that as well. And so, not just to be reactive to things that are trying to manipulate you for your attention, but to check in with how you really feel, like deep inside in your inner higher power. So to put those all together, what I'm seeing for the month of September is going to be, as I said, the need to make a choice, to choose how we react to things, to make sure we're choosing for the good, to really think what the implications of are going to be of what we're putting out in the world. To not fall prey to illusions and not to perpetuate falsehoods, and then to be willing to be sort of innocent and not naive in a way that's exploitive, but to believe that, despite the scale of everything that's happening, to believe in our own power, our own ability to make a change, to make things different. But to do that in a state of balance, and to consult our own source of higher wisdom. I certainly believe in the divine feminine. For me, this is definitely a card to sort of check in with the divine feminine. But everyone's higher powers a bit differently, but to sort of rely on the wisdom of traditions that that you may be a part of or are important to you, and to seek higher guidance. And ideally, if we can put that into effect in our lives, that'll take us through the next month of whatever might transpire politically, whatever happens with COVID. Like keeping these things in mind will help us navigate through that. So, I think it's a pretty positive spread. There's a lot of opportunity in there for us to exercise power. There's an esoteric tradition called Martinism, and one of the things they talk about is at early stages, they describe the state of man as the man of the torrent. You're just swept along by life. And these are a lot of cards showing that we don't have to be swept along by the torrent of current events, that we can exercise power and responsibility and make choices and improve both our internal situation, and that in turn improves the situation of the world at large. So I think hopefully a good month ahead, although I'm not prognosticating about what may or may not happen in the upcoming month. I would love to see COVID come more under control. I'd love to see the unrest die down. And in order for the unrest to die down, I think we'd like to see more justice for police that have engaged in misconduct, for politicians that are thwarting the law, for those that are trying to undermine our institutions. That would be wonderful, but I'm not prepared to speak on whether or not that will happen, but we can wish. And thank you very much. I am going to book storytellers for next week, so look for a return to our original format, but I didn't get it organized in time to have that happen for this week. If you're seeing this, it's likely because you're on Facebook. And if you'd like to be a part of a future storytelling show, please shoot me a message. I'll probably put a post in a couple Facebook groups like LA Storytellers and stuff like that. But if you'd like to be a part of the show, I like to book storytellers I know personally, but I've had really good experience with people that have reached out to me from like New York, and people that maybe have a friend of a friend, or are actually complete strangers. I've had amazing luck with the stories I've gotten out of booking people who've just reached out and said, hey, I'm interested. So like I said, I'm slightly more comfortable booking people that I know. So if you're a friend of mine, for sure, reach out. But also, if we haven't had the pleasure of meeting, I'd be happy to have you as well. And so far, doing that has been great. So reach out. You don't have to be in Los Angeles. So far, it's been New York and LA, but there's a whole country between those 2 points, and I'd love to have someone from there as well. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening.